I'm about to offer an uncomfortable view about so-called artificial intelligence, and in my writing you'll often find that phrase so-called in front of artificial intelligence. And as I've got more into this field from the point of view of being an academic researcher and also a creative practitioner, which in other words means I write plays, I make theatre particularly, but I also write short stories, as well as academic writing. I'm just going to suggest to you that you might want to think about artificial intelligence as so-called artificial intelligence. There are many writers in the field of so-called AI, and some of the people at the top of the commercial ladder in the field of so-called AI, that this is not artificial intelligence. And there are speculations that at some point in the future we might achieve artificial intelligence, and there are certainly views that fields like organoid computing, which is where essentially biology is being used, and biology similar or almost identical, at least biologically, to elements of a human brain or an animal brain, are used to store data, to carry out computer processes. But as things stand, the field of AI, or shall I call it so-called AI, but if I keep doing that we'll all get bored. So the field of branded AI at the moment is being put across as artificial intelligence, and that will be, of course, ChatGPT, large language models, Gemini, Microsoft Copilot. In fact, all of the major corporate players claim to have their own versions of artificial intelligence, and of course claim that their AI is better than everybody else's AI. Part of the rhetoric also is that AI is only a few years away from artificial general intelligence, which is where AI becomes indistinguishable and even beyond human intelligence. And my suggestion to you, alongside, say, a lot of other computer experts and philosophers also in the field, is that what we don't have at the moment is AI at all. The letters are the same, but what we've got is artificial impersonation, and very good impersonation at that in some cases, and very poor impersonation in others. So why is it being called AI? Well, it's simply part of the usual hype, the hype to create human early buying of products, downloading things because they sound better as AI than they would as what I would call algorithmic computing. And algorithmic computing is what we're really talking about here. We're talking about computing that's taken the next step in its complexity and its development, and particularly around natural language processing, the ability for humans to interface with so-called AI in a very natural way, as if we were talking to a human being. And so that's very compelling. Of course, that is a breakthrough, the ability for computers that essentially algorithmically compute, but can input and output in natural human language. So we've got to step forward, because the step forward which is brilliant is that so-called AI, which is algorithmic computing, can also impersonate human intelligence to a level where quite often we really can't tell the difference, or are not bothered to tell the difference, because we get stuff done. We get our, on the sort of a human personal life level, we get our parking tickets rescinded because AI has written the letter for us. We analyse data, and using the same technology we can also exceed the ability of human beings to diagnose very quickly different kinds of illness, different kinds of pathologies in the health service and so on. So we're heading towards some really exciting times, and we're already there in some cases of being able to personalise medicine, to get stuff done, and certainly a year or two away that algorithmic computing will be given certain levels of agency, and you're probably hearing about agentic AI, which is where your computer could be handled by so-called AI to book all your holidays, essentially buy stuff for you, defend your computer against cyber attacks, handle your emails, book your meetings, do a bunch of other stuff in your smart home. And that is still being branded, and that's what it is, a brand, a hyped brand, for a number of reasons. One is to make it just something that is intelligible to us, recognizable to us, for when so-called AI might become AI. So we're already bought into it. Potentially, if you're a bit of a conspiracy theorist, you've been tired out, kind of beaten down, browbeaten into AI simply being part of your life. So you're not going to be shocked when biological AI and other stuff comes along. And that might have been stuff we might have questioned and have concerns about, but we're already being groomed for AI, so it's just familiar to us. That is the conspiracy theory, and I believe there might be a bit of truth in that, because there's always been the truth in hyped up marketing. And that at the same level as the new bluey white whitener laundry capsule and the best bright whitening teeth, ultimate absolute teeth whitening, what was previously called absolute teeth whitening as well, just under a different name, is it simply hype. It's just we're getting to a place where we can't really hype it up anymore. So we came to a place with computing where we wanted money, we wanted investment, and one of the ways to do that, of course, was to big it up. And it was bigged up on the back of algorithmic computing being able to impersonate natural language so that the interface is really natural and easy, as if you were talking to a real AI. Now, does it matter? I think it does, because I think human scrutiny and critical thinking and not being duped are really important parts of being a human being, being able to make free decisions and to behave freely without being hyped up and without being manipulated. And so we don't have AI in terms of it meaning artificial intelligence. It never was, and I don't believe it's going to be for a very long time. And even when we get so-called artificial general intelligence, it may just be the perfect impersonation. There are lots of reasons for that I won't go into in this video, but I've been looking into, just in the literature around this, that intelligence, whereas intelligence as a human form of intelligence is very, very different to what the simulation of that is currently in AI, and AI is not showing many, if any, signs of actually behaving in a human intelligent way, and certainly not in any other particularly intelligent way. But what we have got is a real miracle. We've got algorithmic computing, and then algorithms are kind of decision processes. If this, then that statements to such a high level of complexity, with the ability for the algorithmic computers to code their own algorithms, that we're getting very compelling copies and impersonations of human intelligence. Now, some people would argue that that is human intelligence, that we do exactly the same thing, but there's no firm evidence for that. We're in a state of not knowing, and we're certainly in a state at the moment of not knowing whether so-called AI is really AI. But there's a lot of evidence to suggest, because it's been done before, it's been hyped up, it's been branded, and when you're on ChatGPT having a conversation with it, you're not having a conversation with an artificial intelligence, you're having a conversation with an artificial impersonator.